Coach, would you like to open us with a statement?
Sure. Good second half. Obviously, we started fast. That was the mantra as we went through the week, is that we had to be able to start fast. I think we did that. We started fast. We just kind of, lost it a little bit in the second quarter. It wasn't our best football. I think we took our foot off the gas a little bit, but then I think we were able to come back out and make some, big plays when we had to. I thought it was just individual mistakes that were happening in the run game from different guys. It was not any one guy. It was a bunch of different guys at different times to kind of set us back. And then I really should have taken a timeout on the tempo after they ran the Philly special. You saw it was coming. They huddled, shifted the quarterback to running back, or running back to quarterback. You knew the play. And then the second one, I should have just taken a timeout because I saw we were a little bit misaligned, and that's on me. But overall, I thought we did a nice job on the day. And anytime you come up with a win like that, obviously you did some things right. There's a bunch of other things in there we, got to get back to basics on.
I know you still have one more week right now, but just for year two for you to be able to say undefeated Sun Belt regular season,
that's it.
What does that mean to you? What does that mean to this team?
Yeah, it means a lot, and I think if you think back to where we were in year one when we got here, and just exactly the build and the things that had to come into it, and not that this year was any different because it was similar. We have 50-some new guys on the team, and I think ultimately what I'm proud of is just how quickly they came together and their ability to play and act as a team and to be undefeated, in year two in Sun Belt play, regular season Sun Belt play is obviously, a feather in a lot of these guys' cap. That's something that nobody can take away from you, for the rest of your life. Obviously, there's bigger goals out there, but ultimately, this is a good way to end the regular season.
You mentioned the team taking their foot off the gas a little bit in that second quarter.
Yeah.
So how impressive was that second half effort where, some of the backups come in, the twos, the threes, and they kept their foot on the gas throughout all four?
Yeah,
quarter?
I just think that they did a great job. Rose is walking by right now, and I mean, him putting the ball in the back of the end zone majority of the night on a cold night with a sort of flat ball, that's not easy to do, and he was able to do it, which was very impressive. And then as you went into all the other guys, kickoff team running down, and then you got into defense and you're watching Dye show up and make plays in the backfield. You're watching Regan, run the alley and make plays. It's impressive, and it's something that, again, you hope you have your opportunity and a chance to go play and do some big things out there, and our guys did that. It was impressive.
A negative 12 rushing yards in this one. You also have to take just one. What is it about that defensive unit that can be able to stop the run so well, so effectively?
Well, I think it comes down to the complementary nature of it, to get up 3 scores there on the 2-point play. Put you in a spot where they're probably going to throw it a little more. So it sort of takes the run game off the table a little bit. And then you get a couple more sacks, and then they end up going backwards, and find yourself in that situation. So I think it's not just the defense. It has a lot to do with the offense, widening the gap a little bit on the point differential, and then our ability to just go out there and, finish the game like we should.
What is Wiz doing to continue to earn those opportunities? Because clearly he's rewarding you all by making the most of those opportunities, especially last time.
Wiz is a savvy football player. He gets his body to the ball in all kinds of, interesting ways. I don't think he thinks about it. I don't think he's overly coached in it. I don't think it's something you really drill. He just does a really good job of being able to time up the ball. Again, it's the second, time we see it where that defensive back is like lining up and he's about to go try to make a play, and all of a sudden Wiz ends up in the end zone with the football. So I think he's just a savvy football player that understands how to get his body to the ball, understands the flight of the ball, understands the jump timing, and puts himself in a position to be able to make those catches.
How do you kind of evaluate So's pocket presence and his ability to sort of feel the pressure, like that touchdown the day to Lakota? He sort of stepped up into the pocket on the run and made that pass.
Yeah, I think he's doing a really good job of it. I think, he missed a couple early that he didn't love, and he knew it. He read it right. He feels the pressure around him, and he figures out how to get rid of the ball. There's only one sack, and it was just an immediate, he got beat. Joe got beat immediately, and it ended up in his lap. There wasn't anything he could do about that. But ultimately, I think he's done a phenomenal job of it. Not just reading defenses, not just preparing to understand what they're doing coverage-wise, but also in the heat of the moment when the pocket starts to disintegrate a little bit around him. He's done a great job of keeping his eyes downfield, moving in the pocket, climbing, and being able to deliver passes.
What do you like out of Joby's running style? Big body running back. You're not usually seeing break free for 73-yard touchdowns, but he did it today.
Well, what don't you like about it? The cool thing about Joby, man, is that, he was hurt for a little while in there, and there was moments where, he wasn't getting many carries, but he doesn't complain. You're going to put him up here. He just believed the whole time, and he was waiting for his opportunity to show up, and when it showed up, he's going to make something of it. And I just think that those are the guys that, are the glue guys on the program that keep it together and allow you to have, successes like we've had this year. And I think he doesn't pout, he doesn't cry about it. He just goes back and tries to add value. And when his time shows up, if you give me the ball, I'm going to make the most of it. If you don't, right, it is what it is. I'm going to support my teammates and I'm going to move on. And I think he's just really impressive. But his running style, just the physicality, the pad level's low, the knees never stop churning, and he's just tough to bring down.
And then from one running back to another, Wayne eclipses 1,000 yards on the season. What is it about him that has allowed him to reach that mark and do it in 12 games?
Yeah, today was a harder running effort for him. It wasn't as clean as it had been in the past. I think that it got a little cloudy in there, and he had to put his pads down and got knocked back a couple times. It was just not the easiest of days for him, but he just continues to just be consistent, and when there's opportunities, and they present themselves, he makes the most of them. But the physical nature of those guys, but then the physical nature too of Lakota catching the ball over the middle of the field, and you just knew when he got hit on the 10, this kid's not going to come, he's just not going to go down. But that's the style of ball that we got to have, is that guys just were willing to put their pads down, run their feet, and play as hard as they possibly can.
What was it like to see KJ and Mikey get me into him?
We just talked about it. Coach Kanan and I, were at one point, he's like, man, he caught that onside kick. And that's the other thing too. We're not really talking about, this is a team that is willing to do anything. Fake punts and 2 onside kicks and, the trick plays and all the things that come with it. To withstand that, that's not that easy to do. And I thought our guys played a disciplined brand of football to be able to do that. But Coach Kanan was talking to me about that. And man, at the end, if you're calling anybody up, you got to consider 14. And as he's saying the words, 14 steps in front of the slant, and takes it to the back of the end zone. So it was pretty, really impressive.
And then Mikey's touchdown, you guys took 3 straight penalties, backed it up, made that a longer touchdown pass. What was it like seeing that him, who's someone who, I think everybody's talked highly about so far?
It was just pure joy. If you really looked at him and you looked in his eyes as he came to the sideline after that touchdown, that was one of the most purest forms of joy I think that exists in nature, right? And it was really cool to see him, just how proud he was, how happy he was to finally get in the end zone, and I think we were all just as happy and proud for him.
Early impressions on Troy next week for the Sun Belt Championship?
Yeah, honestly, I haven't spent a whole lot of time on them. I'm just happy with these guys and just how hard they've played and, earned themselves a right to be undefeated, in this league. And that goes a long way. It's not, like I said, something nobody could ever take away from us as a team. And I'm excited, for us to see what we're able to do on Friday night at our place. Most importantly, at our place.